Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The job of the night watchman is very easy. May I request you that after such intellectually stimulating debates, discourses and talks, just sit back and relax. The Jamshedpur group has made my job very simple, in the sense that I will restructure what I have to say because they have said whatever needs to be said. Oh, thank you so much. It's very seldom that one is blessed to receive bouquets. I am accustomed to receiving brickbats more than bouquets. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, to give you a brief introduction, I have served in the UP police for 36 years. But I was teaching earlier. During the course of my service, I have taught, and I am teaching now for the last 6 years. I am the Vice Chancellor of a university in the NCR area. And the logic given by the visitors, the students, and everybody is so disarming and disconcerting at the same time. I every day promise to myself, Mrs. Kamran, that I will never lose my cool. But by midday, I feel that I should give up the job of a teacher and become a policeman again. By evening time, it is difficult to restrain myself and say at 6 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, if you know what is good for you, you will leave exactly in 5 seconds or you will forget General Dyer. And this is, at my age, you are all youngsters. It takes all that you have, all the smile, all the training, all the crash courses that you have, to have the best practices of teaching. In my time, the principal was somebody above the skies. You could only talk about them. Even coming in front of the principal's school was getting butterflies in the stomach. Today you argue for everything. Why 5 minutes less, sir? Why 5 minutes more, sir? Why not more girls in my class, sir? Why not less girls in this class, sir? There are only 6 girls in my section and 8 girls in that section, sir. Why this disparity and why this discrimination, sir? What answer can I give you? I never thought that this has to be equitable distribution of boys and girls in every section. My generation, ladies and gentlemen, was very simply brought up. Very simply brought up. The 3 ingredients of good schooling in my time, that was early 60s, was caning, cold bath and bad food. The rest was taken care of by your parents. When you went home, there was another reception committee waiting. No parent would ever dare to come to a principal and argue about the offspring. And the parents would say that if ever I get a complaint from the principal or your school that you are a trot, you are dating, although I never had the looks of the type to date around and fool around with. But my mother, the strict, she always said, the day I hear that you started dating or something or you're fooling around with girls, I have an ad prepared to give out to the newspapers. Master Vikram Singh is no longer associated with the family. He has fallen into bad company, and anybody dealing with him will do so at his own peril and risk. But now everybody is a darling. Howsoever big a wasted or loser I may be, I am such a darling that short of getting the Nobel Prize, I should be getting whatever I need to get. But having said that, I think teaching is the most honorable profession on earth. It has always been like that, and it shall always be. It takes all that you have to be on your best foot, always on your best foot, to be a lifelong learner, to come out with the facts. And never has teaching been more challenging. Venkatesh, could we have the presentation also? Never has teaching been more challenging than it is today. By the time your session is over, there will be hundreds of thousands of papers of your subject that will make whatever, especially of my generation, any science degree or any degree that is 5 years old, even the Raddiwala will not take away. because it has become obsolete like a medicine that is more than 5 years old. Therefore, constant upgradation, constant improvement, constant enhancement of knowledge is imperative. And again, we have smart classrooms, we have systems and procedures that would put to shame even the Western countries, the type of classes that we have. But the basic ingredients, the basic truth like truth, simplicity and love will never be out of fashion. Similarly, the old dynamics of pedagogy will never change. Next, please. Go ahead. I promise not to hold you hostage for more than 10 minutes. Go right ahead. It is now possible to go have a virtual round of wherever you choose to go. If you choose to take a lesson in geography about the Himalayas, the class can go to the Himalayas, to the Gangotri, to the Gaumukh.
From up here, I see how you've come to treat this world. You used to recharge your body and soul in the calm of my forests. You once climbed my peaks, seeking enlightenment. Now you take what you want and contemplate only your own gain. Open your eyes while there's still time. Because there's one more thing I see clearly. The cliff you're on, and the rocks below.
Students are natural learners. Yet in schools, we often create environments where learning doesn't happen naturally. In many classrooms, we've replaced textbooks with technology. But what's really changed? Recall and knowledge are part of learning. But how are we developing vital life skills like creativity, problem solving, and collaboration? Since children learn naturally, why not embrace that in the classroom? In their spare time, they connect, play, and collaborate with friends, engaging together through technology. Because when students can connect and work with one another, learning happens naturally. Because when children actively participate, learning is transformed. When learning is intuitive, when it's captivating, when it's based on the natural ways that students collaborate, there's no limit to what they can do.
Wonderful. May we start now? Thank you. Now, with smart classrooms, smart apparatus, and everything going our way, but the essential thing is that the man behind the machine, his philosophy is more important. His training is equally important, and the ethos and the purpose for which he is there makes all the difference. When the principal or the teacher enters the class, the children can very well understand the mood, the tenor of the teacher. As to Ma'am with Love, Madam had very rightly mentioned that when she entered for the first time the classroom, she saw the piercing eyes of the students of class 4. Even without uttering a word, there is an aura of respect, or fear, or affection, or trust. I would not like my child or my students to become cyber rag pickers. I can do that myself by teaching them whatever the cyber world has to tell them, whatever the virtual world has to tell them. I have to insulate my class, my students, from information overload, time starvation, leading to attention deficit disorders. We are all aware of neuro-linguistic pathways and the psychological consequences of information overload. How best to make a student understand, but for that, philosophy is important, knowledge is important. And if I were to summarize what are the 3 things necessary to be a good teacher and a good principal, the first would be compassion, as our reverend sisters would bear us out. Compassion compassion and compassion. The second would be a lifelong learner. And the third, to have a vision and constant improvement and constant innovation of what I am doing. There is no shortcut except hard work. Every child is different, as we shall see successively. What are our fondest memories? I think that I am the oldest person in this chamber, and I can say my fondest memories are those of my parents and my teachers. Every small word of kindness said has been etched for a lifetime in my mind and my memory files. And every unkind word, which is not very much, also finds a permanent place in my memory files. Next slide, please. This is what Swami Vivekananda has to say. The earlier slide, please. That mind is a receptacle in which only the best things, the positive things should be kept. The earlier slide, please. Yes. It is not a dustbin where I should post all the nonsensical humbug and post it there. Garbage in and garbage out. No, it doesn't happen that way, it doesn't work out that way. But in my university, ladies and gentlemen, what to talk of a smartphone? The Wi-Fi is free, but we have blocked pornographic sites and Facebook and Twitter, etc. People may say it's a decadent order, it is not relevant, but at the same time I feel that the Wi-Fi has been given for academic pursuits, not for pursuit on Facebook. The arguments in favor of Facebook is that perhaps you update yourself on the news. You can do that in the privacy of your rooms when you go back home, in the luxury of your library, but certainly not in the academic atmosphere. Because psychologists say that every time I go back from the Facebook feed, it takes me 28 minutes to come back to my original form and concentration. Every time I go to the Archie's gallery, I lose my IQ by 25 points. I think let us not have a handbook of winners and not losers. They had a poet in Allahabad by the name of Akbar Allahabadi, and he had a couplet for students. हम उन किताबों को समझते हैं काबिले ज़ब्ती जिनको पढ़ के औलाद समझते हैं माँ बाप को खपती. And for those who do not understand Urdu or Hindi, I would like to translate. No translation can do justice to the original. I would strongly recommend to proscribe all books from my children, prevent them from reading such books which make them feel that your parents are becoming senile or they are senile and they require psychiatric help. So this was the meaning of the couplet said by Akbar Allahabadi. And Swami Vivekananda says that give the positive ideas to children. Make them heroes, build them up heroes, because in the castle of their minds there is no place for debilitating thoughts. Next. The Dalai Lama says in a book, Teaching as a Spiritual Practice. In that book, Lauren Alderfer, I would strongly recommend all the teachers and principals here to please go through this book. It says that teaching is akin to meditation. Teaching is a spiritual practice. The more spiritual I become, the better teacher I become. That the true nature of the child is kindness and compassion. Therefore, all things have to have a foundation in kindness, compassion. Next. Next, Venkatesh. This is Carl Jung. He is not a priest, but when you say that what he has said is almost what a priest would say. Our fondest memories are those of our compassionate teachers and of those who built us, who said a kind word, who had a kind gesture to make us grow and to evolve and develop better. Next. This is again the sentiment that every student is an end product of all the volcanic eruptions that she has suffered during the course of the day and during the course of the life. We all have a viral story on the net about Dr. Stoddard, how he was mentored by his teacher and he grew up, though at one point of time a deviant, but he grew up to become a leading surgeon of the US and built up the Stoddard Nursing Clinic at Harvard. A poignant story of how a teacher found so much of merit in Stoddard and made him into the legendary surgeon that he turned out to be. That every student has fought a battle with herself, with the surroundings, and then is sitting in the class. Therefore, compassion is the key. Next. Again, the same sentiments echoed. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. An unkind word, an unkind gesture, comparison, odious comparisons are bitter memories for a lifetime. Next. Again, there is a way of checking. It is not for the teachers not to check, but there is a way of checking in a manner that we do not ignore faults. Wherever there are faults, course correction is our bounden duty and we are supposed to do it. But there is an appropriate way of doing it. When I was in class 1, I had a teacher by the name of Madeline Baker, may her soul rest in peace. She would always first give a hug, then say, "Your handwriting is wonderful, Vikram, but it won't take you far. Try to improve it." I have such fond memories of Mrs. Madeline Baker. And the next day when I did try to improve, she would give me a scrap. I'll pray to the Lord that it improves still further. It's a different matter that even today, if I want to read my handwriting, I can't read it myself. But the way in which Mrs. Madeline Baker made me understand how to improve your handwriting, and I have also the antithesis of Madeline Baker also, who probably had thought on the vision that he, during his childhood, had got a good share of caning, cold bath and bad food, passed it on equitably to my generation also. Not that it made any difference, but it just did give you nightmares in going into class, and you tried to avoid, and you had ailments, genuine and imaginary, before you went to that class. Next, please. Now, there is a quote from Field Marshal Montgomery. They said that there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad generals. Likewise, if I were to translate the quote, there are no bad students, there are only bad teachers. Albert Einstein, during the course of a teaching of theory of relativity, he went from step to step, A to B, B to C, and C to D. And then when he said that if I am not able to give you the concept of theory of relativity, the fault does not lie with you, it lies with me. Again he said, Steve Jobs, a good teacher is one who is an intersection of humanity and technology. Today a teacher has to be a happy blend of technology and humanity both. Coming back to Montgomery, it is not necessary the most capable and well-read person can become the best teacher. The one who has the maximum spiritual content will be the best teacher. Why? Transfer of data from A to B in our electronic objects requires some hardware and software compatibility. So transfer of knowledge from A to B to empower. If I am not powerful like a powerhouse, what power I can give you? If I am dead myself in the ICU, what kind of life can I give you? Ignite. If I am not burning myself, how can I ignite the other person? If I am not transformed, evolved and metamorphosed myself, therefore how can I even be expected to transform unless it is negative transformation? The spiritual content part happens to be a very important aspect, and I would strongly recommend that we think. And the book, Teaching a Spiritual Practice, says that teaching is akin to meditation. Teaching is akin to a spiritual practice. The more I meditate, the better teacher I become. The more I pray, the better teacher I become. I have studied science and I have taught science for decades. There is no scientific proof, but the end product shows that this is true. And now the last point, when knowledge is integrated with life, it becomes wisdom. I had the privilege of studying at the feet of learned teachers, learned masters who never took recourse to a scrap of paper. You ask them anything and they would rattle off the facts and figures. At that point of time, the most difficult maths problems, the atomic structure, the electronic configuration, I still remember that must have been about 50 years ago when I was taught, but I still remember. What is your problem, Vikram? The problem that I do not understand electronic configuration. That's very simple. If suppose I were to say, there are 4 quantum numbers. Now I say, Dr. Jagdish Gandhi, this is principal quantum number. Kanpur Road is magnetic quantum number. CMS is azimuthal quantum number. And Lucknow is spin quantum number. The purpose is to designate where Dr. Jagdish Gandhi ji is, and these 4 quantum numbers, as they are in the case of electrons, it is in the case of individuals, they exactly identify your location where it is in the course of the atom. As simple as that. Similarly, the textbook on comparative anatomy of Walter and Seeley says it is the graduate level treatise on comparative anatomy. And the words, if I know English, I'd be able to understand the graduate level. The skin is a jack of all trades. The skin is a jack of all trades. When it comes on the scalp, it becomes hair. When it becomes to the extremities, it becomes nails and claws. In kangaroos, it becomes a baby bag. And in case of other vertebrates, it becomes claws, hoofs, and other products which are there for self-preservation. Unless that knowledge is distilled and crystallized, it does not belong to me. When it is integrated with life, it only then becomes wisdom. I expect all teachers and principals indeed to rise to the occasion and be learned, be self-developed, be on an auto mode pilot, so that when you leave your class, you leave the class positive and a different class that is eager to learn, that have a scientific bent of mind, an inquiring mind, and leave it in a positive note so that they are eager to learn more. May God bless your path. Thank you very much for being patient. May God bless your path. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening talk on effective dynamics of pedagogy. And may I now invite Dr. Mrs. B. Gayatri Devi, Executive Committee member of the SISC, to present a memento to our speaker, esteemed speaker, Dr. Vikram Singh, Vice Chancellor, Noida International University. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll put our hands together for Dr. Vikram Singh and for Dr. Mrs. B. Gayatri Devi, who will do us the honors of presenting the memento to Dr. Vikram Singh, Vice Chancellor, Noida International University. Thank you so much, sir, for that enlightening talk. Thank you so much, ma'am, for doing the honors. Truly a pleasure for all of us. Thank you once again.